Hello, today we are going to integrate IBM DOORS with Atlassian JIRA so we can get requirements flowing out of DOORS and into JIRA in the hopes of speeding up your overall software development process. And we're doing that by reducing a lot of double entry and a lot of emails that are flying around. So we reduce the bookkeeping overhead, if you will, of tracking everything and allow the analysts to focus on the requirements and the developers to focus on implementing those in JIRA. So let's go ahead and see how long it will take us to set up an integration. And we will, of course, be using Tasktop Integration Hub. I have that file here ready to install. I'm going to go ahead and double click this and start the install process. So we are installing on a Windows machine, and that is a requirement since we're using DOORS. We have to connect to the DOORS client, which runs on Windows. And we're going to go through a few dialog boxes here to get the installation running. And then we'll start Tasktop and set up a user and begin our configuration. Okay, we're done here. We're going to go ahead and start Tasktop. Like so. This will just take a moment since it's the first time. Okay, so now we can go to localhost 8443 in our browser. And we're going to go ahead and refresh. That's just a first time thing. And there we go. And we're going to go ahead and set up an admin user here. So we have some standard credentials here that we will provide you. It's Tasktop 123. And we'll go ahead and just make a new password. Okay, now we're in the user admin console area where you can create users. So we're going to go ahead and create a admin user. So that what we just did is kind of like the high parent admin user to allow us to add users. Now this user is going to allow us to get into Tasktop and begin configuring. So we're going to go ahead and just call this user ttadmin. And we are going to enable that and save that and go ahead and give it a password. And all these steps that I'm doing now are documented online in our documentation. Let's get that password right. Change password. And one last step here, we're going to make this user a member of a group, the admins group. Okay, that should be it. We're going to go ahead and log out of this. And we'll go back to localhost 8443 and log in as ttadmin and come in here, get our password. Okay, and the last password, and then we'll be in. Okay, now we're going to apply a license, which will allow us to start activating, and it will enable all the features that we've requested. So now our license is applied. So we're rolling here. Next thing we're going to do is connect to JIRA. So this will be pretty quick here. We just come in here and say new repository connection. And it's the first one. So we'll just call this JIRA. And we'll point it to the URL. It's on my machine, it's 8083. It's obviously going to be whatever your server is, and it can be on the cloud or on-prem. And then we just add our credentials. And you just need to make sure this user has access to the project or projects that you're interested in and that it can read and write in those projects. Okay, and we're done. So now we are going to add our DOORS connection. And Doors, because it's an older tool, has a couple of extra steps we need to go through. So I'm going to go ahead and stop Tasktop. And there's a command you can see in here to do so. And we're almost done. Okay, the service should now be stopped. And what we're going to do is go into our services and go to the Tasktop service here. I'm going to refresh my service view. Tasktop, we're going to go to our properties and we're going to go to log on here. And we're going to log in as an administrator. We need administrative privileges to access the Doors client. So I'll put in our admin credentials here. Administrator, make sure I spelled that correctly. Okay, so click apply. Okay, and now we're going to restart Tasktop. Now we have those elevated credentials there, and we're going to go back into Tasktop now. Just wait a minute as this starts up here. Okay. And now we'll add the Doors credentials. So we'll come into repositories, say new repository, and go to Doors. IBM Rational Doors. We'll just call this Doors. And the location is going to be a little different here. It's not an HTTP location. It's using the Doors protocol on the Doors port number. That's what we're looking at there. This is the standard port number for Doors, 36677. You can look at your Doors properties and see what yours is if it happens to be different. And then we also need to know the path to the Doors exe file for the client on this machine. So I'm going to go in here. I've got that saved right there. That, and we'll go ahead and get our executable, put that in here, and then log in with our credentials, and this should work. And we'll be ready to get in the nuts and bolts of setting up fields. Great, we're done now. And you'll notice you have a little test connection button here. You can always test the connection if you're curious if it's up or not. So now we're going to build what we call collections. And our collections take a specific, in this case, say JIRA project and an artifact type, which is going to be epic, and it's going to take that epic schema and map it to the Tasktop schema. And the Tasktop schema lives in a model. So we're going to be using the feature epic model. This ships with the product. You don't have to define your own. You can edit your own if you'd like. But we're going to use the one that's out of the box, and it should work just fine. So let's go ahead and start building our collections. So this is going to be called a repository collection. So we're going to call this JIRA Epics. And we'll come down here to JIRA and select our demonstration project. Okay, we're done there. And then we're going to choose Epic here. And our feature Epic model here. And click Save. And now we're going to delve into mapping some fields. A lot of them will be automatically mapped for us, which makes things nice. There will be a couple that you might have to add manually. And the required fields will be indicated by a red decorator next to the name here. So we've got epic name and sync project. So we'll start with epic name, and we're going to choose that to be summary. And we're going to connect that here. You notice it says duplicate. It's no problem. We're going to set one setting here. We don't need this transform, and that's going to get rid of that duplicate portion there. Okay, that's done. We've got one more required field here, sync project. And this is going to be a constant value. So sync project is a custom field that we happen to have in our demo environment. You're probably not going to have this custom field, but you might have others, so it's good to see how you handle this. So every time a new epic comes into JIRA, it's going to have this value of IBM DOORS, just so we know where it came from. Okay, so we're done there. Actually, let's go ahead and do priority. And we're going to call this major will be high, minor will be, let's see how we're going to do this. Minor will be low, actually minor will be medium, and we'll say trivial and low are good for there. Okay, that's done. And that should be good for now. Now we're going to repeat this process with DOORS. So we're going to come into DOORS, the DOORS collection rather, so new collection, click on a repository, we're going to call this DOORS requirements. And we're going to pick our projects in here, and I've got this project and module, A1 module blue, done. And we don't get to choose the inbound artifact for DOORS because it only has one type, just requirements, but we will choose what we're going to map it to, which will be our feature epic for the Tasktop model. Go ahead and click save there. And I don't even think we need to map anything in DOORS. I think that's all been automatically done for us, which is great. So click done there. And now we're actually going to build our integration. So let's click on integrations and then click new integration. This is going to be a synchronize, and we're going to give it a title up here. We're going to say DOORS requirements to JIRA epics. DOORS on the left, we're going to pick the requirements, and then over here on JIRA side, let's make this JIRA. This is going to go to epics, and we're going to click save. And we have to route our artifacts. So we're going to go one way here from DOORS to JIRA, which is very common. And we're going to also say creation flow should be one way from DOORS to JIRA. You have the option for two ways if you'd like. Okay, and that should be all we need. I'm going to take a quick look at the field flow here. And let's see how we're doing. Priority. So DOORS doesn't actually have priority, so I'm going to go back into our JIRA collection here. I'm going to give priority a constant value because it is required by JIRA. So let's go ahead and delete our mapping. And you might have a custom field for priority in DOORS, in which case you can map it over into JIRA, but I don't, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a minor priority every time it gets put into JIRA. Okay, done. And before we kick off everything, we're going to take a look at our JIRA environment and our DOORS environment. You can see in JIRA I've got a filter set up here for all IBM DOORS epics. We've got one in there right now, and we're going to try to push some more in there shortly. And then if we go into DOORS, you can see we've got our client up here and our module here, and we've got 3 sample epics in there that we're going to push over here in just a second. So let's do that. Going back to Tasktop, we've got our integration, and we can see it here visually how it's represented. It's kind of pretty and graphical, and this can get pretty complicated, so it's good to have this visualization, or you can just come in here to the list like so, and let's click on this requirement, or actually let's just start it from here. Okay, we're going to run it. Now we might get some errors. We're going to look at our activity stream here. We're going to watch it process. Might not get some errors, but we can troubleshoot it if there are a couple. So we did get some errors, which is no problem. This is how you troubleshoot. So open is not a valid. Okay, so this is just a status error, and I don't have the status integration set up yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove that field because I don't have a status field indoors. So let's go back into our JIRA collection. Now let's just remove status this time. We'll save that. We're done there. And if we go back into our activities and bulk actions, retry all, this should get rid of our status error. But it's good that you can see how troubleshooting happens. And we've tried to make this error log rather attractive. And there you go. We've got 3 in our past activity section there that indicates we had 3 successful synchronizations. So if we go over into JIRA and click refresh, you'll see that all those came from doors. And we'll go ahead and add one in near real time here so you can see how it synchronizes over. Before I do that, I'm actually going to go into our settings and change our synchronization, and it will be a little faster. We're going to change it to every 3 seconds, so it's going to detect changes almost real time. Okay. And as I'm doing that, I want to point out that we got that integration running in approximately, what was it, about 15 minutes. So, of course, I've done this a lot, but the point is it's not something you need to script, and it's something that can be set up pretty quickly. Okay, so let's go into doors and say, module, we'll go into doors here and add our new requirement. We'll call this doors sample epic for the demo. Save it. We do close that and come into JIRA and refresh, and it should be there. And there it is. So that went over in just a matter of seconds. So there you go. Setting up a complete integration, albeit basic, between doors and JIRA, but in a pretty easy, quick manner. Happy to dive into the finer points and customize what you've seen today more for your environment, but this should give you a very clear idea of what's involved in setting up an integration with Tasktop Integration Hub. Thank you.